There we go. That works a little bit better. Okay, I was gonna share my screen so we can just kind of look and run through the some of the information here.
Okay.
All right, so we're looking at can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Right. Okay. So this is the T12, and I didn't know June through I don't know what year this is. Is this through May of 2024, I guess?
Yeah, this should be the updated one if I'm not mistaken. Uh,
Okay. Yeah, I got this from your email. So this is June of 2023, I guess, right? That's what we're going by.
yes, sir.
Okay. Um, and I was just this is the offer memorandum because what I wanted to look at was okay, this number here, this is their actuals, the 27,360. And they're saying the market rent's 37. So then this number here, this 28,232, that's the in place actual rent, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
So they had a big uptick here in September. And I wonder what happened there. We need to get some clarification on that. I mean, if you average that out, it's probably around 30,000 a month.
Gotcha. We went over it, but I forgot what
Can't
we said
remember.
was the reason why that increase there.
Okay. Maintenance and utilities, evictions, management fee. And then this management fee, do we know if it's managed by third parties?
Yeah, so they have a rental company, they have a project management company in place currently, and I think they get about 5%.
Okay, so 5% is that's the management fee.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, because interesting, you look up here, there's no actual, it's all Section 8 tenants. Um, and so this is what I wanted to go through as well with you. So the Section 8 tenants, this housing voucher choice program, these are all one bedroom. So is this state by state, do you know, or is this countrywide?
Are you saying this specific price range for this voucher?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
This is just specifically to that zip code in
Oh,
Texas.
I see. Yeah, 75204. Okay.
Yeah,
So the potentially we could get $2,189 per month is what it
that
is
is
what
correct.
and they are currently, at see why I'm just curious in the offering memorandum why the market rent's 1,895. I mean, I wonder if we could even get $2,000 a month in that market. I don't know.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's the thing that kind of concerns me because I didn't jump ahead to kind of give them a call, which I'll probably do just to, just test it out and see if they'll just spit out that information. I don't know how much information they'll give us, but I'll try that out. But it looks
Yeah,
like he hasn't really increased the rents at all from like 2022 to 2023. I don't even think that he's attempted to even get it to the past prior rents.
right, right.
Um, I had a link. Let me see if I can send it to my computer. But yeah, he hasn't. It's been about 2 years for sure that he hasn't even attempted to try to increase the rents because some of these are last year's. I think the 1995. Let me zoom in a little bit. Yeah, the
Yeah.
1995s. I think he actually the current rents that he's missed the last 2 years of increasing those.
Oh,
So,
gotcha.
yeah,
Gotcha.
and you can see that from this. Let me send you this website too. Uh,
Yeah, see, we still just need to get some clarity on how the Section 8 works. Because see this one charge, this non-sufficient fee charge in September for $70.
Gotcha.
The government should be paying the rent. Why are there NSF charges? That usually happens when they try to cash a check
Yeah,
and the check doesn't clear.
gotcha. I think some of them, like there's certain percentages that they cover, and then the tenant is still responsible for
Right, for a portion of it. Yeah, yeah. And so
Yeah,
that's what Josh said on the phone, I think was, if the rent's $1,850, the tenant may, the housing voucher program may only cover 1,500.
exactly.
So that begs the question, if you raise the rents, I mean, I guess you're getting more from the housing program,
Yeah.
right? But you're not, you may or may not be able to get enough coverage from the actual tenant.
Exactly, exactly. I think the way that they have it now, where it's voluntary, will work in our favor because those tenants that actually do their job and actually keep up with it, we can keep those there. But the ones that don't, I think we may need to consider looking at, the other options. Now, I get their loyalty to them, which I completely understand. Some people
Yeah,
have probably been there for some years, but for this one particular guy where we were looking at and we saw him kind of just behind for quite a while. I
right.
think we gotta have a conversation with him,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where was that was that on the rent roll that you sent me? I think it was
Yeah, that's on the rent
rent
roll.
roll here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this guy Mark Hall, I mean, almost $5,000. This guy Sheldon Johnson. I mean, so you got to think. So that, like you said, that's really a management problem.
Yeah,
That's management inefficiencies as to why that delinquency exists in a Section 8 housing program. And if he's absentee and he's probably telling his property managers, don't worry about it, don't evict him, I don't want to go through the process of getting a new tenant. But
exactly.
we could potentially, really, if we can manage that efficiently, evict those tenants that are not covering their fair share, and then and the other thing I want you to research is what is the demand like, the housing demand for the voucher program? Is there a waiting list? One bedrooms I mean, ideally you want more than one bedroom because you got to think that there are a lot of these kind of low income housing your tenant base is going to be a lot of families, and
Exactly.
families can't live in one bedrooms.
True.
So a building that has all one bed, one bath is good for like a more upper class sort of area where you may have like, single college kids or, new grads who are in their first kind of job. But if it's Section 8, it's hard to do that because most Section 8, I think, recipients have children. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll dig and do my research on that. I'm gonna send you the website as well so you can kind of
okay.
get an idea of overall how he's kind of been lacking with the management because this website will actually show you year to date, like what the current rents are, what they were previously, and I kind of see a trend between the last couple years after I think he acquired it in maybe like 2022. So literally, since he's acquired it, he hasn't kept up with like upping the rents.
Mhm.
So that'll be another thing. I think mainly what I'm seeing as a trend with this guy is just like just not pretty much keeping up with the property at all. But
Yeah.
uh,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
but no, I was just saying I'm keeping notes on it as well to kind of call them and see how that works in terms of like getting them up to the 2100 as well.
Right. And they have one vacancy, so I wonder what that is about. Why is there one vacancy in unit 104?
Yeah, that's kind of curious. That has me curious as well too.
Oh, they need to they
I
need
think
to
it
they
may
need to
actually be four. Is it four? No, it's
yeah, well, it's 104 and 201. Looks like there's two vacancies.
okay. Well, that's actually better. I think the last form that I got, the last row they had four, so they're at what 90% now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Do you
not a problem.
know do you know why he wants to sell it? Did you ever ask that question?
I think from what I can recall, he's having the problem that's reflected on the T12s. Like he's just getting kind of tired of trying to manage it and
Okay.
being an absentee owner.
Well, and
So
it's a tricky size. I mean, it's a good sort of entry level size, but
exactly,
the downside of smaller properties is the property management, because usually property management companies are going to charge you more, and that's because they can't put an on-site member, they can't put an on-site staff member there. because
Gotcha.
it's not small enough. Most apartments will, if it's 100 units or more, that's when they'll have on-site property management staff and maintenance staff and things like that. But
Mm,
if it's under 100, then what happens is typically if it's under 100, then you'll just be like a fractional part of a portfolio for the property management company. And
gotcha.
so you'll get like, a maintenance person will come and check on the properties every day, but there's not someone there full time.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not somebody there full time. I need to send you. Let me send you these pictures too.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, send them over. You put them in the chat too. I mean,
yeah.
that's it's going to be really important if we buy this thing that we have really efficient property management staff on,
Definitely.
and even, I mean, how far are you from this property? Like,
So I'm actually 20 minutes away from that property.
okay. So that's awesome. So that means, I hate looking at deals where like no member of the team lives in the area
Mm,
because, if we had someone had to fly in to fix something, it would not be
mm.
good. And so if you're there, you're on that property manager's ass every day,
Oh yeah. Oh
fixing
no, for
the
sure.
property. Yeah.
Because if you look at the area, they're doing a lot of development on that area. Like if
Okay.
right to the other side, to the left and to the right of it, they're building like new development. So this is like one of the few properties that hasn't been fully developed yet.
Hmm.
And it really only needs a few tweaks. Like I think they've probably done some work to the inside already. It doesn't need much. It's actually kind of like, why are you not doing the minimum that it needs?
Bare minimum,
But
right?
it just needs the bare minimum. Like let me see if I can add these pictures.
Yeah.
But yeah, the lawn work is like the biggest thing. Maybe like some new fixtures to kind of like make it look a little newer on the outside. But
Right.
it's like very simple adjustments that need to be made to this. So I don't know. I think the guy just probably gave up on it at this point, you
It
know.
sounds like it. And he may own like bigger stuff in the area,
Mm,
you know. I was trying to see 750. Yeah, I mean, in seller financing, and what the broker said was that he would seller finance it if we paid off his loan. Like if we paid off his $900,000 loan, he can finance the rest of it.
mm,
But if we offered 3 million and Freddie or Fannie with a small balance loan came in, they'd probably do 75% financing. So
mm,
that would mean we would have to, you have to come up with 750,000 for of equity for closing, which is less than what the seller would require, But that being said, the seller financing deal is just a heck of a lot easier to deal with and easier to manage and easier to process from a
yeah.
closing perspective.
Mm,
So we may could think about that, consider it if it's literally $150,000 more, but
mm,
then we get the ease of a seller financing because
mm.
although agency loans are good and things like that, we could get interest only seller financing, um, without going through the rigmarole of an agency loan. And then what we would do is we would just refinance into an agency loan or just sell it at that point after 2 years.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I think, man, with those rents increase, let's just say hypothetically we are able to get it to the 2100. I think it's easily like maybe 5.6.
You think it's
So
worth about that?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, have you done any comps value wise on um other properties in the area?
So I tried to. It was kind of hard to compare. I would actually like to try to see if we could do that. Uh, it was kind of hard for me to compare, kind of just being a newbie and looking at some of these other properties because I think they're a
Sure.
lot newer than what this one is. Uh,
Okay, and real quick, what is this opportunity to build six more? Is it to build it right here on top of the parking spots?
that's a great question. Supposedly, and that's one of the reasons why I went to go view it today because I
Yeah.
wanted to get an idea of where those extra six could be placed. and I'm gonna let me take a second to send you this because I literally don't know where that could go. It
Well,
sounded good.
I mean, that's yeah, that's a really because here's the survey right here. I mean, I guess they had an architect draw this up, but oh, I mean, typically, zoning requirements require, a certain parking density and parking ratio. But one thing I do know about Texas is there's not a lot of regulations when it comes to that.
Oh
So
wow,
maybe Texas doesn't require a certain zoning, a certain parking ratio.
gotcha. Okay, well if that's the case, I could kind of see where they could be going with that, but honestly, I don't see the room for it. But if
Uh,
so, if it's possible, then I think that would just make this deal even sweeter because
yeah,
um, we're already looking at a lot of guaranteed rent. So if we can increase that and have six additional units, it'd be
yeah.
very
It would
good.
really come down to like the city of Dallas and their local ordinances and if they require it or not. I would not count that, I would not count that as part of our strategy,
Underwriting.
right?
Got
Part of the strategy here is, oh, I'm going to bank on these six extra units because I mean, typically the brokers, I'm surprised they don't have this. The brokers OM would have
a few comparables in it
comps,
usually. Yeah.
and it doesn't. So that's concerning.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had a client that had a property that ended up um, they ended up not buying, but it was in East Dallas, East Town. They called it East Town, Dallas, and so that's where it is. So I assume it's a good area. So I can run that by him to just confirm.
Oh yeah, this area is an area where there's a lot of development taking place. Like you're seeing a lot of Class A properties coming up around it.
Hmm.
Even on this particular block, this is the only one that hasn't been renovated. So I wouldn't be surprised if we were in a buy and hold process and somebody offered to take it just simply so they could knock it down and redo it.
Oh wow, really? Okay,
Yeah, because this literally like the only thing. If you look across, and I sent you everything via email because my
okay,
memory is not full on my computer.
yeah,
But yeah, like everything around it are like Class A buildings. I think the apartment complex that's right next to it is Class A as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually got an offer throughout the process on the building once we kind of brought it up to speed.
got it. Okay, awesome. All right, that's yeah. I mean, that could definitely be a strategy. I'm really thinking, we need to confirm the value. We need to confirm, and sometimes you can even do a quick Zillow search. I mean, just, you can put in, have you ever done a Zillow search where you put in the address and then you can it'll populate values around. I mean,
Yeah,
there's apartment complexes all over there, it looks like.
let me grab a few now for you. Let's see.
Okay. Um, and then, yeah, we can talk about your pitch deck here. You looking through Zillow?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up Zillow now just to see what I find.
What's the address? It's like 1952 Grigsby.
Hmm.
Grigsby.
So
Uh,
a lot of them price wise are not in the same size.
yeah.
Let me send you this and see
Well,
if it
really, this is what the broker should be
should
doing.
be there. Exactly. Guess when I get my license, I'll have to be brokering them and underwriting it and finding them
Right, right.
out. I sent you some in a text, but I'm still kind of searching to see if it gets better than that. Um,
You put it in the chat.
yeah,
Is it 1952 Grigsby? No.
1625.
Oh, oh, there we go. Yeah, it's on LoopNet. It's on Oh, it's not on LoopNet. No. Okay, it's not. Oh, Mateo. Okay. Would you have the time to manage it yourself? To self-manage it?
I believe so. So recently, I'll give you a little background of what I did prior to actually trying to own. I know it says some on the pitch deck, but we haven't formally talked about it. So,
Yeah.
I initially was doing a master lease. I was one of the pioneers of Airbnb in Dallas when it first started. So I was
Okay.
able to go and negotiate with an apartment building, like a 100-unit apartment building, and go and get 20 units under a master lease. So, in a sense, prior to COVID, I was in the process of scaling up to managing 20 units actually. And what happened was I was not expecting a pandemic to occur. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was in the midst of, I think, 2 weeks prior when I was scaling from 4 units to the additional 16. And
Okay.
as I'm furnishing, they announced COVID-19. Nobody's able to travel, and I'm on the beach in Miami, getting excited, thinking I'm about to make all this money. So a friend of mine is like, "Hey, y'all know COVID's coming." I'm like, "Oh, COVID! Better tell him to hurry up. We're about to get on the yacht." So I'm getting all excited, not even knowing that he's talking about a virus is about to shut down the whole deal. So to
Right.
answer the question, that's what got me back to this place actually owning. And that gives me the confidence to know that I can own it because I was actually able to get a management company to approve me
Yeah.
before. So
Got it. Okay. I mean, the units look good. And look at that. There's new development right across the street being built.
yeah.
Um, yeah. 1 second. I think the pizza guy's here. Well, I like it. I really like, I like the deal. I'm just looking at the pictures on Crexy. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it does have a big square footage. It's a big block. But a couple things I would do immediately. You're right. The lawn is one thing. I'd want to rename it. That lawn here. Let me share a different screen here. Hang on.
I was definitely thinking the same. It's perfect.
Yeah. So look at this. All right. So right here, there you go. Can you see it?
I can't see your cursor. Oh yeah, I see it. I think
Yeah.
that's what was that where they were trying to do that extra deal at?
No, I think they were putting the extra building here.
Okay.
But this is a kind of a green area. There we go. Okay, look. First, I would say we would rename it, right? Always want to rename it, put it and if we could paint it, we talked earlier about lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
That's something we could paint it white, rename it something, not Grigsby Place. We can call it something else. I guess it's not an area where things like in Atlanta, South Atlanta, this will get stolen, right? This will get stolen off the out the side. A lot of apartment buildings will have gates over the HVAC units, like big cages,
Yeah.
because people will steal them.
We
But
might
look,
need
so
to
what's that?
we might need to forward thinking possibly go ahead and do it just in case because he might have left that out of the OM and it possibly may have happened before, but
Right, right. But as you're underwriting deals and you're looking at properties, these are the things you're thinking about, right? So this immediately I see that, and the other thing, it's a 1986 built, which is good. The wiring is likely not copper wiring, it's likely aluminum. We got to know what the plumbing is like, if it's copper plumbing or not. Um, And this, this looks fine. This is obviously a big walkway, exterior corridors here. The fence looks new. Um, and these units look really fine. I mean, so from a value add perspective, black appliances are typically the lower of the bunch.
Hmm.
You know,
Interesting.
yeah. So you would want like stainless steel is going to be your highest class. And if we really ever wanted to upgrade this, you would put stainless steel in. You'd put recessed lighting right here. You'd put a backsplash right here. The flooring is probably fine, but hopefully it's linoleum or that LV, what's it called? LVP or the fake stuff here. But this as it stands right now, this is a totally, I would say, middle of the road. And look, are there any? I wonder if there's any even handles on, like little things like that make a big difference. Like, are there handles on the cabinets? I don't even see handles on the cabinets, right?
Mm,
I'm sure you got handles in your cabinets in your house,
definitely. Yeah.
right? So little things like that is an upgrade. That's an upgrade. So we would want to estimate, and this is something that you can do given the local contracting market. How much would it cost to put a backsplash? Do we want to put stainless steel appliances in there or not? I think at the bare minimum, we would put a backsplash and we'd put handles on.
And fun fact, my dad is actually a general contractor out here. He's been out here for like 40 years, so
Perfect.
he could
Perfect.
definitely
Well,
help
we'll
us.
use them. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Um, yeah, but this unit looks totally fine, for what it is. I mean, I've been in some really bad units, and this is not bad at all. I mean, obviously you'd clean it up and everything before you rented it, but yeah, I didn't. This all looks like the same unit, so we'd want to obviously see all 20 of them. Bathroom looks really good. Look, I mean, this is kind of a newer shower, you
so you're
know?
thinking like that same backsplash, kind of similar to that, maybe
Yeah,
in the
in the
kitchen area.
kitchen. Yeah, yeah, something like that. This countertop looks nice. I mean, this is kind of doesn't match. They should have upgraded this vanity here. Because that vanity all they did was a countertop and they put this on the wall, but this still looks old, in my opinion. Um, and you wonder what's up here. That's kind of weird to have this
Above the, yeah.
ceiling access here above the bathroom.
Mm,
That's kind of strange. But here's wooden. Now this looks like linoleum or LVP, not actual wooden floors. Um, Again, look. Oh, see, look. When we go and tour this, is that water damage right there? Is that
mm,
is that water damage right here? Whenever you see the seals break like that I can't tell. It looks like the ceiling is like spackled rather than rather than um, drywall,
mm.
which is not neither here nor there. But that you got to look really hard for water stains.
No, very true. Yeah.
And listen, so this is where I think they would think they'd build this extra one, but this fence looks fairly new here.
Yeah, yeah, and it did. When I saw it today, it actually did. That was one thing that actually stood out to me. That did look fairly new.
Yeah. So here, look, new development right here. What is, I don't know what this, oh, public storage right here. Okay, so these look fairly new townhouses. Um, okay, so here, and we would want, because they're all one bedroom, one bath, there's probably not a lot of kids. That's the only thing. So they're all, but what we could put in, if we built, we could, fix the grass, and then right here in the corner, just
Little
put a
bit.
couple of picnic benches and a grill.
Mm,
Right? I mean, just put a couple picnic benches and a grill, and then maybe like a little gravel area, and then maybe put up like a volleyball net or something. You just kind of make it look a little more inviting for the tenant base, so that they have they have a little bit of outdoor space here. They can use it. And so that's the value add that I'm thinking we would want to do here and so 10 unit, and this is something you can ask your dad. How much are backsplashes? How much are the little how much would it cost to install the backsplashes, to install the handles on the cabinetry? And then I think that was probably all we saw. I don't think we even get new appliances. Like I said, black appliances are fine. Especially because we have the ceiling on the Section 8.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I'll put those in the notes as well.
Yeah, yeah, but this, I think it's a good little deal.
What specifically are you looking at in terms of plumbing, you said?
So whether it's copper piping or aluminum piping, a 1986 build, it's likely aluminum, and that's good. We don't want copper. And the wiring, especially, we want to go and look and make sure all the wiring is not copper wiring. I wonder what this thing is here. This must be for the mail.
Yeah, that is correct. That is the
Yeah.
mail their quote unquote mail room.
Yeah. The other thing to really get a handle on is the roofs.
Mhm.
How old are the roofs? They look, again, just from this bird's eye view, but we need to know how old the roofs are. And then what are these chimneys? Are they actual chimneys in the units? One, two,
It's a
three,
great
four,
question, actually.
eight. There's eight. It looks like eight chimneys. I don't know. And again, we'll know all this when we do a full inspection, but um that's a question. Like, what are these chimneys? If they're just cosmetic, that's one thing, but if they're actual fire burning chimneys, like, you don't really want that in your buildings, because that's gonna burn. Someone's gonna burn something down, right?
No, that makes sense.
Um, do they have washer dryer hookups? That's the other thing we need to know. Um, and are people doing their own laundry somewhere else?
Let me take a look here and see. I believe each unit. Let me go back to the OM just to verify real quick. But I believe each unit has a washer and dryer connector. Uh,
Okay.
but don't quote me. I could be wrong. Let me see. Where are you? Yep. Each unit has an in-unit washer and dryer, and that is I believe, you might be looking at the fireplace. They each have fireplaces.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Foxwood for the floors to confirm.
Wait, it does say they each have fireplaces?
Yes. Well, it has it highlighted. I don't know if it's every unit, but it does have a unit amenity list on the OM under property overview, and it does highlight fireplaces.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That's a huge asset to have.
A fireplace,
Yeah, I don't think a lot of units come with that, you know.
asset and a liability.
True.
You know,
More that probably than an asset.
asset and a liability. Yeah. Um, just trying to think if okay, what are you thinking? Let's just say we got him for 2.9 million, and he finances 900,000 of it. I know, sorry, we come up with 900,000, and then he finances the 2 million.
Mhm.
Um, what Tell me your capital raising strategy.
Great question. I'm thinking maybe 1 to 4 partners max. Um, Now, when you say strategy, you mean it's in terms of like how we would divide it up per
No,
investors?
no, no. How would you come up with $900,000?
Uh, well, outside of Todd, no. I would like to pitch to investors the opportunity to have an investment on guaranteed income with using the Section 8 vouchers. Probably creating a pitch deck, going through and seeing, and seeking investors who are interested in possibly going into a Section 8 deal.
So,
Talk.
okay, so you'd want to syndicate it.
Yes,
So the
sir.
way we would structure that, yeah, and I agree. And so the question is, I'm going back to your pitch deck. The question is, what is your network like to syndicate something like that? Have you you haven't syndicated a transaction before, right?
No, this will be my first time.
So the benefit of a syndication is you can get, we would want to set a minimum of an investment. I mean, we can get 9 people to invest $100,000 a piece.
Mhm.
And again, we would be on the separate GP team where we would get the promote, and then the LPs would put in the 900,000. Right now, if we're, the other thing too to consider, if we're doing some sort of acquisition fee that's charged to the investors, if it's a $2.9 million property, and we say the acquisition fee is, let's say 3%,
Mhm.
that's 87 grand. So, and then we want to raise capital for reserves, just to be smart. So that's 980. So if it's 987,000, I would say we would need to raise, I mean, 13,000 more is $1 million. So I don't know that, I don't know if that's enough for reserves, 13,000. But let's just say hypothetically it's $1 million. That's what, and then closing costs. So actually, let's just call it 1.1 to be safe, right? So we're going to raise $1.1 million, and we have to go to friends and family and ask them, for an investment. And when you start out, you are asking your family, like, hey, dad, can you put in 50 grand? Hey, auntie, can you put in 25 grand? Like you got to scrape that barrel for the first couple of deals until you get something under your belt. And then you just got to think, I mean, from your Goldman Sachs days, surely you've got colleagues from that life that you can contact and say, I've got a deal, and I'm offering a preferred return and a split of the profits,
Indeed. Yeah, I
right?
have I got one offer of like 125 so far,
Okay.
but then I got stuck because I didn't really know the structure. So
That's where I come in. Yeah. So he offered 125,000
yeah, I got one
best.
person right now who said that they will put in 125. Now they say that,
Beautiful.
you know.
Right. Well, they got to put their money where their mouth is, right? But
Right.
this is how we got to, this is when we got to show them we're legit. We're professional. We know what we're doing. That's when you bring me in to help sell that to them.
Indeed.
But hey, you're, $875,000 left, and I can, I'll put in some, and I can raise from my network as well, for sure. But in a syndication, first we got about 15 minutes left. Let me run through your pitch deck real quick. Okay, this is kind of a pet peeve of mine, but
Okay.
I have gotten actual like feedback from the industry, from the real estate investment industry. Your company's fine, but
The G.
don't have a Gmail account. Did I already tell you this once?
No, but somebody else did. So this is just like
Don't.
reinstating.
It just screams like Bush League, like just, I mean, you can go to G Suite and get one for like $3 a month or something, you
Okay.
know, and literally, or GoDaddy, and like get a website, even if you're just getting a professional email, but it needs to be like Keith at liveluxuryworldwide.com,
Gotcha.
something like that, right?
Okay.
Just you can keep
No,
Gmail.
no, 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 no. You're right. You're right. I've heard it before, so you're right.
Yeah. And I know it's a little bit of cost. You swallow, but it's well worth it, believe me. Um,
Okay.
and what I'll do is I may just kind of redline this myself and kind of go through it, but I'll just give you some additional feedback. Um, achieved 150 in gross revenue annually. So this is your company did, right?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Okay, okay. Doing what though?
Pretty much just providing corporate housing. So I would like pitch to different people who work for different, companies. Like for example, we had a law firm during the pandemic who needed to be in Dallas because they were trying to, work on a case or something. So we'll provide them corporate housing. They'll pay us, monthly retainers to occupy certain units.
Okay, okay. And are you want to, do you want to focus specifically on government like Section 8 deals?
Not mainly, but just as like a floor,
Okay.
just to kind of lure people in to make sure that that they have the stable investment first.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's open. It's open. But that was like a strategy of mine to kind of get some people in, knowing that their money
Yeah, I
is
mean, it is, so when you're pitching to investors, it is to say, look, this is all Section 8 rent. And so there's no real risk that the tenant's not going to pay, you
exactly
know. But that's a little not true because Section 8 doesn't pay the whole thing,
very true.
right? Um, so and I wouldn't say low risk investment backed by the US government because the government's not backing their investment. That's the really important. We got to switch that because we're gonna do what's literally called a private securities offering,
Mm.
and they're gonna invest and purchase a membership interest in the real estate. I'm
Gotcha.
sorry, in the entity that owns the real property. Okay, and when they do that, they'll have a LLC, an operating agreement that says they're a member of this company, but they're going to be limited partners. They're going to be passive, no management control, no voting rights, no nothing. Like we'll handle that. They're just putting in the cash. We're putting in the know-how. So that's why it's a partnership. Um, Let me see what we'll bring to the table. Let me look at about the opportunity. First goal, okay, yeah. Increase rents, elevate to new standards. So this is I know this is kind of just what you're thinking like when you created it, but
Mm.
once we have it under contract, then we
Redo
can
it.
like current price. Like we may well let's offer 2.9 and him I mean once you do the comps 2.9 and then he finances or we'll pay off his loan at 900 and he finances the other 2 million. I think that's a great deal because I mean it's putting in more cash than we probably would have to under the Fannie and Freddie program. And so I think we use that and we say, look, we want to do the seller financing. We're actually putting up more cash, but we want a lower interest rate. And so I think he said 6%, but if he could get it at, we can get it, we'll also say 4.5, five, and maybe land on 5% interest. I think that would be ideal. So this is not really correct. It's equity participation, 15% stakes in the property, cash flow, retains. So we just need to discuss how we want to structure it. Do you want to structure it where now investors receive 8 to 10%? I would say, and this is where we have to model it out. So if we give them an 8% preferred return, right? I mean, if someone here's pull up the calculator, let's say this guy invested 125,000. Oops. All right, we're gonna pay him 8% per year. That's 10 grand a year. Okay.
Mm.
Divided by 4 quarters, that's 2,500 bucks a quarter that
Okay.
we have to pay him, right? That's 8% preferred return. And it's preferred, meaning that he gets paid before we get paid. Okay. And so you have to go through an underwriting model to see if we're raising 1.1 million and we're paying 8% on that. that's $88,000 a year. Divided by 12, that's $7,333. Right?
Hmm.
Per quarter. No, sorry, that's per month. Right? That's per month, 7,333. That's, it's kind of like we call it equity. Like it's debt, but it's equity. So that's the preferred return. Now, you don't have to pay, you do have to pay it, but you don't necessarily, the documents as I draft them will state that, that if that amount is not paid, it accrues, right? So it's still an obligation of the company to pay it, but we may not be able to pay it until we sell. But the best thing to retain investors and to attract investors is mailbox money, right? They want, hey, Jim, I just, sent you a check for $7,000, or $2,500, enjoy, like they just love to get that money, and then you pay them on time, you're golden. So just doing quick math, if it's 7,333 a month for the pref, and if we had a $2 million mortgage times 5%, that's $100,000 a year divided by 12. That's 8,333 plus 7,333 just for pref. That's 15,666, right? That would be our debt service and our preferred equity, preferred return to our investors. Does that make sense?
Somewhat. Now,
Okay.
when you say investors, is this with when you did the division, was that including four investors or
For investors? Well, ideally, me and you are not going to put in any money.
gotcha. Okay.
Ideally, we're going to raise the capital from all of our friends and family.
Gotcha.
Right? You and I put in $0. If we do put in money, then we get to play both sides of the fence. We get limited partner returns. So we would get an 8% preferred return, and we would get the GP promote.
Gotcha.
Right? So looking at this 15,000 real quick, if I go back to the T12, I guess most recent was May. Their NOI, now NOI is net operating income, right? So here it is, NOI 28,906. So that means after all expenses, after all maintenance costs, right? After collecting all the rent, they're at 28,906.65. Now that's before debt service, right? It's always before debt service. And then from that, we pay 8,333 to the seller if it's at 5%, right? That's per month. 20,000 bucks, 20,500 left. And then we reserve 7,333 for our preferred, our investors.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
We're still, so 13,240 bucks, that is pure cash flow. That is pure cash flow after paying your investors, paying your debt service, paying all your maintenance costs, everything that is in here. Now, assuming this is all accurate, right? This is why you get bank statements, because if they're saying we paid, $325 this month for painting, I want to see an invoice and from them, and I want to see where that was withdrawn from your account, because
Yeah.
people make up these numbers all the time.
Because in
Okay.
lawn and on the landscaping, that could be the first one we look at.
Right. Yeah, maintenance. Yeah. So we give people a grain of salt,
Right.
thinking that they did it, but you always ask for bank statements in your due diligence. And some sellers will balk. They'll say, hell no, I'm not giving you my bank statements. And they may commingle properties, right? And that's fine. You can commingle properties. We don't care. Like, I don't care if you've got your cousin on payroll and he's not doing a damn thing and you're just kind of floating him. Like, we don't care about that. We care about the expenses that you're representing are that the property is paying for,
Gotcha.
right? So so of that 13,000, roughly, that is left over as pure cash flow for a certain month, that would be, I mean, ideally, we'd probably put it in some sort of reserve account. You know, we could use it, we could distribute it to the partners. You would still, the way and I wanted to pull this up to show you. Let me show you a standard. I'm going into my firm files now because I'm going to show you an org chart, because a lot of times an organizational chart is easy to understand. But I would say with what are you thinking?
Oh, no, I was just laughing at the Gmail thing.
Man, you got to get that, man. You got to fix that, especially for
Somebody
some.
just like literally told me before this call, like, man, you gotta switch the Gmail off your pitch deck.
Who
Like,
did? Someone else?
yeah, he's like, he's gonna say something about it. I'm like, man, I don't even think he's thinking about it. And that was one of the main things you brought up as soon as you pulled it up.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's gotta get with the game. It's just I've had private equity investors, friends of mine, that I've sent sponsors to like hey Peter, Peter Auerbach is his name. Check out this deal. Can you invest a couple $1,000,000? First thing he says, it's a Gmail account. Hell no, it's a Gmail account. These guys aren't even professional. First thing he says. So
Yeah,
that stuck with me. I was like, oh hell, I gotta make
yeah,
sure these guys
I'll
are.
be changing that tonight. I got you.
Yeah. So look here. I pulled up this org chart. This is this is how we would structure it. Now we wouldn't put this property owner entity in here. You don't really need it. We would just have this entity, right? So if it's Grigsby Drive LLC, say we call it Grigsby Drive, our investors are going to get Class A shares here, okay? And typically, they're going to get 70% of the profit, okay? We would have 30% of the promote. So, and the Class B, these are affiliates. So like if you had your own, like I operate out of my real estate company called Iron Street Capital. So the Iron Street Capital would be a Class B member that would get the promote. And then all of the management flows through this entity, which is called the GP. And here is where, I'd be a member, you'd be a member. If you wanted to bring, if say you have a friend who can raise capital pretty easily, right? Under the securities regulations, he would need, if we want him to raise capital for this deal, he would need to be in this entity. He would need to be a member of Apple Creek Manager, or we call it Grigsby Drive Manager LLC. He'd be a member, and because he's a member, he has a direct relationship with these individuals. We're kosher when it comes to securities regulations.
Hmm. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely does.
And so the fees would be, and then we would work out whatever our ownership percentage is in this GP entity, right? And so our fees would come here. So that $87,000 acquisition fee would come to the manager entity. Then we'd split it up pro rata. If you and I are 50-50, it'd be 50-50. If we got somebody else, if it's a third, it'd be a third, a third. And then so this 13,000, that's after, sorry, pull this down. That's after the Class A member here has already received, like say your investor put in 125, he's already received his $2,500 in a quarter, right? This 13,000 is per month. So if that was left over, we could split that, but you would still 70% of it would still go to the LPs. Right? So if we did 70%, what is that, 9,200 minus, what is it, 13,240 roughly. So we'd be about $4,000 that we would split, per month. Because the way that's just, I'd have to just explain how the operating agreement would work. Like that would be the cash flow. And in the section of the operating agreement, you'd have distributions available for cash flow. Now here's the upside. If we returned that money to the investors, like during the term of the property, so it's not a lot of properties actually pay investors on a monthly basis. They usually get their preferred returns quarterly, and then when they sell, they get a split of the profits.
Okay.
Right? Not a lot, but if there is a payment that's made during like the term or during like a certain month, that money would go back as a return of capital. Okay, so not a return on capital, but a return of capital. The preferred return is a return on capital. And so what that means then is, say during 1 year, we returned $100,000 back to our investors, right? So initially we had 1.1 million of LP money. We were paying 8%. That's $88,000 a year we have to pay. Well, now we're paying, their capital account from a tax perspective has gone down. So your 125 investor, he now only has 100,000 in the deal, for instance. So now if we paid all the investors $1 million, I mean, that's what's left. Their capital account balance is now $1 million. We're now paying $80,000 in pref, not $88,000 in pref. If we return all that money to the investors and we're down to, say, their capital account, we only have $500,000 of investor capital in the deal still, right? Well, now we're paying 8% on 500. We're only paying 40 grand a year. And so what that means is that increases the available true cash flow, and we would get a larger share of that.
Okay.
I know it's a lot to digest, but
so it basically decreases over time, and the more capital that the investors get back, the return decreases over time. Once they
yeah,
get
but it's still, what's that?
is that when they get back to their zero, so
Right.
their
So
initial investment.
yeah, so hypothetically, if let's say we held it for 5 years, and we kept paying the preferred return, but we had this monthly cash flow that was available, right? So we used that money, we didn't take a dime, we just gave it all back to the investors. Now your $125,000 investor, from a tax perspective, his capital account balance, which shows how much money he actually has in the deal, is zero, because he's gotten all of his money back. And so what that means, if he gets all of his money back, we no longer have to pay him a preferred return. Right? So now he just waits until we sell the property because he's gotten all his money back.
Gotcha.
That
Now,
makes sense.
yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. Now, what would he get in return when it sells on top of that?
So go back to the calculator. If we bought it for, say we bought it for 2.9, you think it would be worth 5.6?
I'm thinking maybe let's say conservatively, maybe I forgot I did the calculations. Let me pull it up real quick.
Just say 5 million.
Yeah.
I mean, that's wait a minute, 5 million divided by 20 units. That's $250,000 a door. You got to think of it that from that perspective. That is expensive. That's class A price right there. So
no, that's true.
that's why we really need to look at true we need to get Josh. I'll text him now and say, Josh, you got to pull us actual comps of same properties, same vintage that have sold recently, to give us a true estimate of the current value. Because if it's currently priced right, it may be that much later on. But if we're buying it, so 2.9 million divided by 20 units, we're buying it for 145,000 a door. And you got to think, in multifamily, that's how people talk, right? So what's the price per door? So it's 145,000 a door. That's the first question for Josh. Is that in market? Is that in line? So if we bump, but you got to remember, multifamily. I know I'm doing a lot of talking, but multifamily is valued like a business. It's
Exactly.
valued based on cash flow and cap rates. It's not valued based on appraisals. Appraisals are good to see the value if it's in line with the market.
Uh-huh.
But if this thing, if we're charging $5,000 a month in rent, just hypothetically, then the value is going to be through the roof. So if we push the rents up and we get the NOI up, let's say we get it to 200, $225,000. That's a lot. Let's say we get it to 200 a door. Okay. If it's 200,000 a door times 20 units, that's 4 million, right? This is hypothetical. We bought it for two, so we pay back, let's say we didn't pay anyone back. So we pay back our investor capital, right? It's 1.1 million that we got from investors. We pay back our seller note, 900,000, hypothetically. We're left with $2 million of profit. Okay. Now, the investors would get, if we did a 70-30 split, they would get 70% of this. So times 70%, they'd come out with 1.4 million. And then we would get, the GPs would get 600,000. And if it's me and you, that's divided by 2, that's 300 grand. Right? Now there are ways to structure it so it's more favorable to the GPs, meaning we'll get you, and I got to run in like 5 minutes, but we'll give you a preferred return of 8%, right? Have you heard the term internal rate of return?
Yeah, the IRR. Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
IRR? The
Mhm.
IRR is really a metric of like how quickly the money comes back to the investors. It's like a velocity metric. And so the way you structure now, this is called a waterfall. So if it's an 8% preferred return, up to an 8%, investors get all the cash. After an 8, there's a 70-30 split, right? Where we had 70-30, like we just talked about. Then if once we're giving their cash, and now the financial modeling does this, but once we give them all their cash back and we're giving them preferred returns, we're giving them cash during the process, all that makes up your internal rate of return calculation. So say they get to a 12% IRR. Well, now the cash flow is 60-40. And then if they get to a 15% IRR or a 20% IRR, then it becomes 50-50. Okay. The other option is you do like a true promote where if there's 2 million of profit left, we would take 30% off the top. So that's 600 grand. That goes to us. Then what's left is 1.4 million. Then the investors get 70% of that, which is 980,000. And we split another 420. So I've also structured it that way where once the profit's calculated, the GPs get a promote, they get the 30% off the top, and then the rest is split 70-30.
Yeah, I like that last one.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that and that, I think we could probably do something like that on this deal where and I'll just structure it in the documents that we get a separate 30%. So instead of there's a Latin term called pari passu, which means paid at the same time. So instead of 70-30 pari passu, it's no, we get our actual promote first and then we split it pari passu. And that gives us so then your buddy, you put in 125,000. 125,000, let's just say hypothetically, divided by, we had to raise 1.1 million. So he's 11% of the equity, right? His pro rata share would be 11%. So if we did that where we're getting the 30,000, the 30% promote first, and he's at, the rest is 1.4 to split
Hmm.
times 70%. So now the investors are getting $980,000, right? Your buddy is getting 11% of that. So he's getting another 170,000 bucks. I'm sorry, 107,000. So for his 125 investment, he's getting 107,800 plus his capital back of 125,000. That's 232,800. Plus, let's say we held it for 3 years, uh, times 8%. That's 10,000. That's 30 grand. So he's getting 232,800 plus he got 30 grand. So we just turned his $125,000 investment into 262,000 bucks.
Okay, and that would be the same pretty much for everyone, right? Even if
Everyone.
they put in, okay.
Yeah, so that from an equity multiple, and this is what I want to give you some language to redo your pitch deck, because what you should show is a hypothetical investment of 100,000. So investor, you put in 100. This is what you can expect to get in your, and I'll give you a pitch deck that I did for a senior healthcare deal that I was looking at that had this exact language. So 100,000 bucks, you get 8% for 3 years. In year 4, we sell, you get your capital back plus what you were supposed to get plus your pro rata share. So this is over, let's see, 262,800, so 125 divided by 262,800. No, wait, hold on. 262,800 divided by 1. So that's a 2.1, what you call equity multiple, right? That's another factor you want to put in your pitch deck. 2.1 equity multiple.
Perfect. I definitely appreciate that. Wow. Luckily, I didn't send it out yet.
Yeah, don't send it out yet. We need to fine tune it. But I think, do you have an LOI template, or do you want me to send you one that?
If you could send me one, please. I want to make sure everything is up to standard.
Okay, I'll send you an LOI template. Um, and I'm excited. I think this will be a good deal. I think I really do. I think it'll be a good deal.
No, definitely. It gives me a good chance to study my backyard and hopefully compound from here.
There you go,
Now,
man.
one question before I let you go. What about the property management structure? I know you asked if I could take that on. If I was to do that, how would that change the outcome financially?
Well, no, so if you managed it personally, then I would think we would set up a separate property management company for you, and then you would get a fee just like the property manager does.
Okay.
I would think what you would charge a little bit less than a standard property manager would, but it's fair for you to get a separate fee that the company would pay you. So say you did, live luxury PM, live luxury property management, whatever you want to call it. That would have a contract with the company who's going to own the property, and then it'd be a line item on the P&L that we'd pay. We would pay that every month.
Okay.
And there's usually an asset management fee as well. So say the property management fee is 4%,
Hmm.
right? 4% of the rents.
Hmm.
There's usually like a 1%. There's usually a 1% asset management fee as well that does go to the company, and we can specify in the operating agreement how that's chopped up.
Hmm.
But that really compensates the GP for managing the investment, right? Because if we have 10 or 15 investors, they're going to want updates. They may want to tour the property. They're going to want quarterly reports. I mean, all that kind of stuff goes into that fee. So it's compensation for that as well.
Okay. Cool. Perfect. Perfect. This man, it sounds great. Like this is all I do. This is all I'm trying to do full time. So I don't see any hiccups or impediments that'll prevent me from, putting my all into the to
That's
manage that.
awesome, man. I mean, the biggest thing is raising the capital, and you've already got one guy who's willing to put in 125. So once we refine this pitch deck, I mean, the idea is you want to make it, you know, you want to make it so enticing to the investors that they feel stupid not investing with you.
Gotcha.
There's a book that I just bought. This is actually a client of mine. Have you ever heard of this guy, Alex Hormozy?
I think I was just on his page yesterday, actually.
Probably were, yeah. So this $100 million offer, this apply. I mean, it's for like online businesses and stuff, but it also applies to investors because you want to be able to present something to your investors that they read it and think, well, why the heck would I not invest in this?
Exactly.
Right? It's all Section 8. It's guaranteed rent. You know, we've got seller financing at below market terms, right? 5% if he agrees to it. Seller financing below market terms. We've got immediate upside in, with the increase in Section 8 tenants. I think we should hire, I mean, some money we have to pay for, we should hire somebody to do a proper third-party appraisal and go ahead and get that ordered. And then because then if it appraises at like 3.5 million, then we've got instant equity. So these are the buzzwords you want to be thinking when you talk to your investors: instant equity, immediate upside, you know, all Section 8 government guaranteed rent payments, units already upgraded, things like that. But we want to put that in the pitch deck. Yeah, because you had 15% stake. So that would be like an 85-15 split, which, sorry, that would be 85 to us, 15 to the 15 to the investors.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of investors you'll see, man, they're just like, I'm putting in all the cash. Why would I not get the majority of the returns, right?
Exactly.
So I think we start with 70-30. And if you want to look at a waterfall structure, I can send you some models to look at.
Yeah, I'll be open. I think with the project management and asset fees, it's enough to go around for everybody to be happy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we just got to model it out. That's the thing. So I can work on the financial modeling, and I'm going to text Josh and see if he can get us, what do we talk about? Like a BOV and either a broker, not necessarily a broker's opinion from him, but some comps, some actual comps.
Yeah,
And then we'll put the offer together.
gotcha. Todd, man, I definitely this was like 10 years worth of value. I feel like I went to college all over again and learned real estate all over again. I appreciate the tremendous value that you just gave me for sure.
Absolutely, man. Well, this is what I'm all about, man. I love doing this in my law practice, but then I love working on deals personally and then training people and mentoring people. So I'm all about it. And this is what you get in the one-on-one mentoring as well. I mean, this is basically what we did today, rather than just in a group session. But yeah, awesome.
No, I definitely appreciate it, man. I'll be looking forward to joining soon, and I'll get this Gmail account too by the
Yeah, do that.
time we
Hey,
get the pitch deck ready. I'll have that done for you as well.
sounds good, buddy. All right, I'll send you the LOI forms over shortly, okay?
Okay, I appreciate it, Todd. Thank you.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later. Bye.